So today we are going to talk about brainstorming and MindManager, and I'll give you first a little short introduction. Those of you that know me know that I like to have these presentations quite short first. My name is Erik Wallbring, and I've been using MindManager for a lot of years. I'm a certified trainer and technology partner and etc. So I've been using MindManager a lot. Another thing that people don't maybe not know about me is that I'm also been working with innovation and creativity a lot. So I'm looking forward to this webinar, particularly this webinar like that. It's a brainstorming webinar, and apart from showing MindManager, I hope to be able to give you some tips and tricks on how to use MindManager with brainstorming and show you some of my best practices for using that. So I'm going to drop in some useful tips. I would also like you to know that the webinar is recorded. So if you miss something, if you attend this webinar, you will also receive a link where you can look at the recording afterwards. Great. I also would like to point out that I'm showing MindManager 2017 for Windows, so it's the Windows version that I'm showing. Some of the functionality that I'm showing today might be unique to the Windows version. So if you're running Mac, it's still a tremendous tool for doing brainstorming in MindManager, but some of the functionality might be unique to Windows. There's also several ways of doing things in MindManager, so it might be that you have your favorite way of doing things related to MindManager. I'm going to show you my way of doing things, so nothing wrong with doing it differently. I'm just showing my way of doing things. So let's get started. The first thing I want to talk about is why use Brainstorm with MindManager. And in my opinion, it's a very fast tool where you still get the visual clustering of ideas. So it's a unique combination of being able to create ideas, write ideas, and at the same time organize the ideas. One of the problems with using brainstorming or coming up with ideas in general is that the ideas comes up sometimes very detailed, sometimes they are on a high level, sometimes they are, just a single word, and you need to combine all that and catch the ideas. And it's a very good way of doing that visually, where you kind of quickly can cluster ideas, making ideas part of other ideas, etc. And MindManager is very easy to do that. One aspect of using mind mapping for brainstorming is also that it empowers the thinking. And by that I mean that when you use a mind map for organizing ideas, you typically tend to see what's missing. So it becomes very apparent and very visually noticeable that you have ideas in only one area. And you see from the design of the mind map, the way it grows, that you might be missing ideas from an area. So kind of seeing what's missing is one of the great things that I love with using MindManager for brainstorming. And of course, it's easy exporting. Once you have all the ideas, you have clustered them, you need to do something with them. So you have all the project management tools, you have easy exporting, you have all this fantastic functionality that we are aware of in MindManager. So let me switch to a few words about brainstorming. Some of you might not know that brainstorming as a concept was invented in 1939 by Alex Osborne, and the thing he did was actually to come up with a number of rules. So he was dissatisfied with how his colleagues generated ideas, specifically marketing ideas, so he could come up with a set of rules. And these are the rules. No criticism of ideas, go for large quantities rather than developing a single idea, build on others' ideas, encourage wild ideas. And all of you typically know this. This is, yeah, we know it, but sometimes we don't do it. So I'm going to show you a bit of how you can use this in a creative process. But these are the basis for doing brainstorming. Another thing that Alex Osborne highlighted when it comes to brainstorming is the importance of having a facilitator. That is someone that makes a group keep to the rules. So we kind of, as humans, we kind of tend to, when we get excited of an idea, not to use the rules any longer. So it's important to have some kind of facilitator or a facilitator mindset to stick to these rules if you want to be successful at brainstorming. Okay. So firstly, let us do a simple brainstorming before going into the creative process and show you the different variants of that. So first let me show you how I do a simple brainstorming. So let's just start a new map. I typically start a regular mind map like this, and you recognize this like that. When you brainstorm ideas, you don't have the structure from the beginning, and luckily MindManager supports that as well. So if you're familiar with creating a mind map like this, where you have a lot of branches and sub-branches like that, there is another way of using MindManager for generating ideas. And that is to simply click somewhere in the drawing area. I tend to pick a upper left corner like this and just start writing an idea like that. And you will get a floating topics. If you will get a floating topic or not when you click once at the drawing area is a functionality that you will find in the file options. So if you go to File Options and Edit, you will see that I've checked this check mark here saying single-click map background to insert floating topic. If that is checked, and I think it is by default, I'm not quite sure in MindManager 2017, but I think it is, you can just click once and start writing an idea. So let's say, for instance, that we want to come up with some idea for a new new bicycle ideas, just as an example here. It's kind of tricky to generate ideas in a webinar like this, but I hope you will bear with me and my maybe crazy ideas here. But let's start just generating ideas so you get the feeling of how to use MindManager. So one idea that pops up to mind directly is to have a one-wheel bike. So I just write it like that. Not a very original idea, but anyway. Then I press enter and I go out of the editing mode. If I press enter once more, I get a new box underneath the first one like this, and I can start typing the next idea. So let's say we have an idea where we can put the bike in a bag, so we have some bike idea here. We can have some box bike idea, a bike in a box that have wheels, and we can put on some steering, etc. Another thing that originates from a problem might be that we don't want any flat tires. Tires like that. Sorry if I'm misspelling here. Electric bikes are coming, a lot of them. You see a lot of them right now, at least here. Another interesting idea might be a walking bike, where you, instead of using pedals, you're just walking on some sort of band, and that will move the bike forward. I just press another here. Let's say we have a Fitbit bike connected to my Fitbit health arm wrist or whatever. So what you see I'm doing here is I'm just typing in new ideas like this, press enter, and press enter once more, and I can type in a new idea. If I want to organize in columns, I can start all over here, start writing, enter 2 times, and I can just add ideas very, very quickly. I don't have to organize them at this stage. If you remember the rules of Alex Osborne, go for quantity and don't put any restrictions on your ideas. So this is a very easy way of entering ideas into MindManager. Once you have the ideas, you can start organizing them. So we have some ideas related to tires or wheels like that, and now I can select the idea. So there we have a wheel. Here we have something related to a wheel, so I hold down the control key in MindManager and click on that so that both of those got selected like that, and then I can start dragging them to the wheels ideas. And in the same way I can start now to cluster ideas. If there are ideas that are part of other ideas, I can just drag them and place them underneath that idea, and then we say some computer stuff here, and we can drag that idea, place it under there. And we have some compact stuff, so let me drag those there. Electric bike, we put it under there, and then we have some walking bike. Let us just call that the other ideas and put that there, and this one I don't want. So you see, it's a very quick way of entering ideas and organizing ideas this way. And at this stage we typically come to the point where we see that there might be something missing. Maybe we don't have any ideas related to the user. We don't have any ideas related to steering. And then we can go into brainstorming mode again to generate ideas related to those topics. So it's a very good kind of plan-do setting that you have with MindManager, and all the visual feedback that you get all the time. So that is the very quick way that I tend to use for just brainstorming. And of course, if you're brainstorming like a project or related to topics in a document or whatever, you can use this. Another way of entering ideas is to use the outlined view. The outline view is a view of the mind map in a list, and if you're fluent with the keyboards, it's very easy to use this insert key, enter several times, etc., in order to organize while entering ideas. So this is a way of fast typing ideas into MindManager, and then later you can switch to map view and organize them in the way you like. So it's a very nice tool to use for that, and you can use it in several ways. A little hint here that in my experience is that sometimes you might want to do this in a group. You use MindManager with a projector so that everyone can see the map, but be a bit cautious about that, because as soon as someone sees an idea, they tend to focus on that. So if you go by the rules and say we want quantity, it's often better that everyone generates idea for themselves first, and then you do the clustering with MindManager. Because as soon as you see one wheel bike here as an idea, people tend to say, well, a 3-wheel bike, a 4-wheel bike, and then you are focusing on some idea rather than the actual challenge, which is ideas for a new bike. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about the creative process and see how MindManager can support that. By the way, if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions in the webinar. Stephen will, my co-host here, will answer questions related to MindManager, and I will pick up ideas later in the webinar or after the webinar and answer questions related to the uses of MindManager in brainstorming. So the creative process can be described in a lot of different ways. The way I tend to describe it is that there are 3 distinct steps in the creative process. The first one is to understand the problem. So you typically have to work with the problem to understand what is the problem we are solving. If you start generating idea without understanding the challenge or the problem, we tend to generate crazy ideas that are very hard to evaluate later on. So we have to somehow work with the problem, and MindManager fits well with that. The next step is to generate ideas, and that is often 2 steps. One is the ideas from brainstorm, from experience, which is typically a traditional brainstorm. You tend to just express your ideas. But then you also have the new wild ideas that Alex Osborne is talking about, and you need some triggers in order to get those ideas. And the last step is to evaluate the ideas, which gut feeling could be one way, but there are structured way of evaluating ideas as well. So let me talk a bit about these various steps in the creative process and how I tend to work with them. So the first one, understand the problem. The thing I think is important there is to understand the level of the problem. So let's say, for instance, that we want to create a new bike. Then MindManager have a very interesting design that many people don't use, which is a split org chart, meaning that this map will organize itself in topics above the central topic and underneath the central topic. And I think that is very ideal for working with the challenge, because if your challenge is to create a new bike, so we say here, let's say, create a new bike, that is the challenge, then you typically have various challenges related to that. It could be on a higher level, so one way could be new way of transportation, like that. That is on a higher level. That's not just related to bike. And there are also questions or problems on a lower level. Easier to ride a bike, for instance, which is more of the design of the bike. So here we have a lot of new design of the bike, etc. So I think this is a great way of thinking about the challenge that you're working with, is the level of it. And typically you have levels above the one that you start with, and you have levels below. And you can use this kind of mind mapping split design in order to work with your challenges. And once you have done that, you typically say that it might be that, well, it's not just a bike. A new bike can be something else, so it's more level of transportation. Or it could be that we're only interested in the design of the bike. We want to have the coolest design, so let's stick with that. So it's a way of finding the starting point for your brainstorm. There are also other maps that you can use in order to understand your challenge or your problem. And there are some really useful templates in MindManager. And if you go to File, New, you see a lot of templates here. And I have found that there is a template in the project management category, which is a use case diagram. And that is one template that fits really nice if you're working with personas. So let's say you are developing a new app, something like that. You can have personas, so saying that this is the tech-savvy person, this is the old person person. This is the beginner, for instance. So it's a way of describing various personas and then connect challenges to that. So maybe you want ease of use. That is a challenge that you will be working with, which is important for the beginner, but also for tech-savvy people, etc. So you can enter your challenges in the mind map this way. And you can also pick one of the personas and create a mind map out of that. So here we can have requirements for that specific person. So we can add various topics here saying it should be easy to read, it should be few options or whatever, few options, etc. And then you can start generating ideas and build on that. And this is a very nice map for working with personas, and you can also change these images. If you just click on them, you can have another image that is more specific for that personas. So I'm just bringing up some ideas right now of how you can work with MindManager and all the benefits of MindManager in the creative process. The next step is to generate ideas, and typically you generate ideas from experience, as I was showing you. Could also be a way of finding new wild ideas. So let me show you how you can use that to increase your wild ideas or increase your number of wild ideas. So let's just start a new map again. And this time I will in fact put on a map theme. So what I've done is I created a kind of a post-it like map theme, which you will recognize in a minute. So let me just create a challenge here. How can we create a new pen? So let's focus on the pen for a moment and see if we can create something good out of that. I do it the same way. First we go for the ideas from experience. So you might say we want a more ergonomic pen. You might have a pen that you want to last longer, like that. The problem with these first ideas that you get on top of your mind is that they're not really wild. They're not really strange ideas. They're not really pushing the limits. They're not differenting you from the competition. Everyone thinks of those regular ideas. So you want some more wild ideas. And in MindManager, you can use the concept of map parts in order to trigger ideas. But let me first start with some creative tools that you can use. So I have a branch here with creative methods that I just will copy to my map here. So the creative methods, there are a lot of creative methods, but there is one that I borrowed from the blue ocean concept, which is that you add something, you remove something, increase, decrease, change the order, and I have some additional tools I will show you as well. So let me just use these creative methods as an input to our challenge. So one way we can say, what can we add to a pen? First idea that pops into my mind is that we can have a camera in the pen. That is an idea that is a bit connected to adding something. We can maybe have a pen with some sound just to add something to the pen. And let's switch to the next one, to remove something. Well, if we want to remove something, we could have a pen without ink, for instance. I see I forgot the camera idea, so I'm adding that again. pen with camera, like that. And you can also think if we're removing something, we can remove the complete pen. So how would a pen look if we don't have a pen? Well, it could be some kind of Kinect functionality where you just use your finger on a paper and it starts drawing, for instance. I know that this might seem a bit crazy idea, but hey, we're out for the wild ideas now, so that's what these creative methods are. So let's say we want to increase something. We can have a pen with more ink, maybe a refill, or maybe a large ink. The complete pen is filled with ink, so it will last very long. If we decrease something, we can have a very small pen, for example, can be useful, etc. If we take the next creative method, the change order, we could have, well, let's say we have to erase in order to write. So we erase first and write after. So erase in order to write with the pen, for instance, could be an idea. I'm not sure why it's good, but let's stick to that. I also have some additional mind triggering ideas here. One is the or methods. One is the ideal solution, and one is to invert the problem. So the ideal solution, what is the ideal solution for a pen? Well, that would be a pen that writes by itself, like that. And the other one here, to invert the challenge. So how can we create a new pen? How can we create a really bad pen, a really crazy pen? Well, then you might have a pen that you can't write with, like that. So you see that what I'm doing here is I'm using a simple methods of creative methods in MindManager in order to trigger new ideas. The good thing is that if you have these set of methods that you want to use often, you can put them in your map parts. So you can simply drag those into the map part area in order to have those creative methods available here. So if I delete that and I have a new map, I can simply drag the creative methods into the map, and I can reuse this mind triggering thinking branches that I have here. In the same way, I can use different map parts that are already in MindManager in order to work with ideas. So there is a map part called categorise ideas that I can drag like this. And the categorizing ideas just have simple categories where I can put the ideas like this. So let me close the map part and let me start dragging these ideas. So for instance here, I think that the ergonomic pen, the pen with sound, the pen with more ink, the small pen, those are ideas that kind of just do it. They are simple ideas. The ergonomic pen, the last longer pen, I can save those for later. Erase in order to write, I'm not sure what that is good for, so let me put that in the trash, and let me put the rest of those ideas. Just by dragging a rectangle, I can select everyone and move the rest one to investigate. So it's a very easy way of categorizing ideas, where do it is very much about the realism of the ideas. These ideas I think is very realistic, so I can put a call out here saying these are realistic ideas, and the investigate ideas are typically the creative ideas. So I call this the creative ideas, like that. So this way I have a very nice way of categorizing the ideas. Let's have a look at some more map parts, because there are several map parts here. Another map part is refining ideas. So let's say we are interested in this pen with sound. Now I can take a refinement branch and put on that. And the refinement is all about describing what's the new thing with this idea, what's the benefit, what's the value, what's the assumptions, pros and cons. So what you see is that MindManager is really helping you by having all these map parts that you can use in order to describe things related to ideas. So we're kind of ending up with a process where we have a great tool for coming up with ideas. We can use various creative methods to get out of the box, and then we can use the map parts here to refine the ideas, so to make them more into, let's say, business ideas where you have the benefit of the idea, etc. So what you can do here is simply to use text notes. So I'm adding text notes saying what's new with this idea. Well, you can hear what you are writing, for instance. We can go to the benefits and we can add that, and we can have some pros and cons, and just adding various text notes like this. Sorry. Like this. So we're writing some stuff here. And this way you will actually build the idea to something new. So let me get rid of this intermediate here by dragging those there and delete that. And you see that we have the pen with sound with all these descriptions underneath like that. And there are a lot of these kind of map parts related to ideas available here in that. Okay, so before going further, let me switch back here to localize where we are now, where we are in this here. So now we have generated ideas, we have ideas from experience, we have wild ideas, and we have started to clustering, refining them, and then we want to go into some more of a business context or evaluating the ideas. Another function that you can use in MindManager in order to evaluate ideas is to use the auto calculations of MindManager. So let me show how to do that. So in this map we have some ideas that are categorized. So let's say we want to do some voting. We want to put some points on which ideas we think are good, etc. Now I can go to Advanced AutoCalc, and I will enter a property on the ideas saying that we want to vote, so we want to give some votes or points to this idea. And to summarize that, we will just sum of votes. We will just enter an attribute for that, and we will populate the branches like that. Now I can start voting on ideas, so say that this get 3 points, and you will see we summarize all the points up here. Another useful attribute for this is to do a count. So let's set the count attribute by counting the vote attribute. This way I will see the number of ideas that has been voted. So as soon as I put in some points here, you will see that how many ideas have gotten a vote. So let's say this is 10 points like that. So you will see the number of points that we have on those realistic ideas, and you will also see how many ideas we have that we have voted for to bring further on. And these attributes we can copy. So let me just drag those to these ideas as well, like that. And let me add the summarizing of the ideas here. And we can also have the count of the ideas up here to see how many summarizing we have in total. And then we can start putting points here saying this is a 5 point, this is a 3 point, this is a 10, this is a 3 points, etc. So now you will see that the creative ideas, we have spent 26 votes, and there are a total number of 5 ideas, etc. And you can have average counting, etc. on the ideas as well. But this is a really nice way when you have clustered the ideas and you are trying to point the ideas to say, setting point on the ideas to see which one are the good ideas, etc. And get a decision on that. And this, of course, you can also do in a group with a projector, where you can, raise your hands if you vote for a specific idea, and then you can just enter that number and you will calculate the ideas in this map in this way. So it's a very nice way of using MindManager for doing the voting inside a map as well. Okay, so now we have gone through a complete creative process. The next step here is, of course, to make the ideas projects. And the way I typically do that is that I switch to this map and I start using the task management of MindManager. So I go to task, open the task pane, and now, of course, I can set resources, saying that Eric is responsible for that date. He will report back to me in a couple of days, and this is a priority 1 idea, and you can start really more thinking in project terms related to these ideas. Often when I come to this, I typically tend to copy and paste the ideas into a project map. So because now we're kind of leaving the rules of brainstorming, the Alex Osborne rules, and we are thinking more traditionally, logically. It's not the quantity that is in gain any longer. It's more of working those ideas and realizing the ideas to create some new products. And then I typically cut and paste them into a new map simply by going here, say copy, enter a new project map where we might have some actions to do, and we can start pasting that idea here and start elaborating on that idea. So given that, MindManager is a tool where you can work all your way from understanding the problem that you're working with. You can generate ideas, do this great clustering, and you can evaluate the ideas using the map parts and the voting, etc. And then you can go all the way into your project map with Gantt charts, resource handling, etc. So you have all that. Another thing that you typically want to do when you are working with ideas is to export things. And here I would like to show you typically ways of exporting. So what I will do when I have this mind map that I have here is to simply do a word export. So we can just click here, go to export, export to Word. And since I've been using all these map parts, I get a very nice map or nice Word document with all these categories in the Word document. So it's a very nice way of exporting into Word, having all these categories from the map parts in the Word document, all the refinement branches, etc., nicely numbered and everything. Another very typical export is to export to HTML5. And when you do that, you might also want to hide things. So let's say we don't want to, these trash ideas, we don't want to export those. So now I can go up to View, I can say hide the selected topic. So I hide that in that way. I can also, of course, filter on different things like the priority I have set, various attributes, etc. Of the map. And then I do the HTML5 export like this, creating a simple HTML file which I can email to all the contributors to this map. And when I do that, I open up the web browser and it loads the map from that. So I'm creating the single HTML5 file with all the ideas categorized. I can collapse the tree and work with that. So it's a very nice way of communicating ideas to participants from this brainstorming in order to communicate what was the result. Just do a simple HTML export and email that HTML file, and they can open it up in this way even if they don't have MindManager installed. So it's a very nice feature. So typically I would populate the map with various priority, stuff like that, and then I will filter out the good stuff and create an HTML file and email that to the respondents or the participants of a brainstorming session. Okay, so that is the basis of using MindManager for brainstorming. There are some functionality in previous version. Some of those you can find through the options, add-ins, where you have various add-ins that you can turn on. But I would really like to talk about some additional features that you might find usable when doing brainstorming with MindManager. One of those is speech recognition, and this depends really how you do the brainstorming. If you do it all by yourself in MindManager, this might not be a very useful way of working. Same thing if you use the cloud service, might not be very useful. But if you do a regular brainstorming using post-its, you will end up with maybe hundreds of post-its that you need to categorize and enter into your digital form. And what I found a very nice way of doing that is to use the MindJet app. Because if you use the MindJet app, you can use the microphone on your telephone in order to talk the idea. So you are actually reading from the post-its into MindManager, and you will create a mind map directly in that app, which you then can reuse in this MindManager for Windows or for Mac. And you have the ideas clustered nicely in that. So by using the app, you get access to your microphone. There are also some functionality in your browser. So there are some ways of talking into your browser, but in general I find that the MindJet app is a particularly good app for actually entering ideas. Because if you have done some of the clustering using the post-its, you can keep that structure while reading in the ideas into the map, which is very nice. Another thing that you might want to consider is the cloud version of MindManager, meaning that you can mind map together in the very same map at the same time. We have done this with some customers where we have a setup where we use a map and everyone logs into their account. And since everyone can enter ideas, we do a setup kind of like this. So let me create a new mind map here. We call this for brainstorm. And then I simply enter some branches which I call group 1, group 2, group 3, etc. And then when you go into the cloud service and open up this, and you have several computers working with that, several groups working with that, one group can start entering ideas here, another entering ideas here, and since we are all working with the same map, you can collapse the other groups ideas. So they can continue generating ideas in the group 2 branch here without me seeing them. I'm in group 1 and I will continue generating ideas from the group 1. And at a certain point when everyone has generated a lot of ideas, you can just open up the complete map on a projector screen or in the cloud service if you're long distance, and everyone can see everyone's ideas, and you can start building on each other's ideas. So it's a very nice way. This works particularly well using the cloud service based on how MindManager cloud service is working. Some other stuff here. I have been talking about AutoCalc, which I tend to use for voting or giving points to ideas. For those of you that have tablet functionality, you can switch to pen mode. And while in pen mode, you can actually start drawing sketches, etc. inside MindManager. So if you have a tablet, there are some gestures you can do in order to insert things. So I can insert a sketch here where I start drawing things like this here, like that. And that becomes an image as part of that that branch, like that. Oh, sorry. So let me switch back to mouse mode, like that. And you will see that that sketch is available like that. So it's a very easy way of, if you have the tablet functionality. I have also been talking to map parts, and there are also, of course, you can use all the relationships and all that stuff inside MindManager in order to describe how ideas relate to other ideas, etc. So that will actually conclude my description on how to use MindManager with brainstorming in MindManager, like that. So the timing is up, so I thank you everyone for listening to this presentation on using brainstorming and MindManager. So I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I have, and good luck with your brainstorming and MindManager. So have a nice day and good luck.
Customer, you know it would be great. The quarter's coming to a close, so please don't hesitate. Place your order right away.